The first time it happened, I didn't think much of it. A kid from my history class, Sarah Jenkins, just wasn't there one Monday. Mr. Henderson called her name during roll call, paused, then moved on. The next day, her name wasn't on the list. It was like she'd never been there at all. I asked my friend Mike about her. He just frowned. Who? Sarah Jenkins? Never heard of her. I thought I was going crazy, but then it happened again. This time, it was a guy from the basketball team, Kevin. Gone. Vanished. And I was the only one who seemed to remember him. That's when the real fear started to set in. This wasn't just kids transferring. This was an erasure. It was like someone or something was plucking students out of existence and editing everyone else's memories. I started keeping a journal, writing down the names of everyone I knew, a desperate attempt to hold on to reality. I wrote down details about them, conversations we'd had, anything to prove they were real. Each morning, I checked my journal against the school's reality. And each week, a new name in my book had no face to match, no presence in the hallways, just a ghost in my memory. I tried to talk to my parents. I told them about Sarah, about Kevin. They looked at me with that worried expression, the one that says you're not making sense. They suggested I was stressed, that maybe I should talk to the school counselor. But how do you talk to a counselor about people disappearing from reality itself? I knew they wouldn't believe me. No one would. I was completely alone in this. The school, which once felt like a second home, now felt like a prison, its walls closing in, its hallways filled with strangers who might not be there tomorrow. My investigation became an obsession. I spent my lunches in the library, digging through old yearbooks. That's where I found the first concrete proof I wasn't losing my mind. I found Sarah Jenkins' photo in last year's book, Class of 23. There she was, smiling, frozen in time. But when I looked for Kevin, he wasn't in any of the team photos. It was like he'd been retroactively cut from the team. The erasures weren't just happening now. They were rewriting the past. The paranoia was eating me alive. Every unfamiliar face in the hallway was a potential replacement. Every familiar face was a potential target. I started watching people, trying to find a pattern. Who was next? Why them? Was it random? Or was there some twisted logic behind it? I noticed the erasures were accelerating. It used to be one student a month, then one a week. Now, it was almost every other day. The school was shrinking, but only I could see the empty spaces they left behind. One night, I broke into the school's administrative office. I had to get to the server room, to the digital records. Maybe there was a glitch, a virus, something I could point to and say, "See, this is what's happening." I bypassed the flimsy lock and slipped into the darkened office. The air was cold, silent. The only sound was the hum of computers and my own frantic heartbeat. One found the student records database. I typed in Sarah Jenkins, no results. Kevin Royce, no results. It was a digital dead end. They weren't just gone from memory. They were scrubbed from the system. But then I found something else. A hidden file, buried deep in a restricted directory. It wasn't a student file. It was a log, a maintenance log. The entries were cryptic, just dates and strings of code. But one entry caught my eye. It was dated the day before Sarah disappeared. The entry read, Subject 74, Redundant Data Packet, scheduled for deletion. My blood ran cold. Redundant data packet? Deletion? They weren't people. To whatever was running this school, they were just data. We were all just data in some kind of monstrous simulation. That's when I knew I had to get out. This wasn't a school. It was a farm, a server, and we were being cold. I started planning my escape. But how do you escape a prison that edits reality? The school's boundaries felt absolute. I'd heard stories of kids who tried to skip school and somehow just ended up back in class with no memory of how they got there. The system was designed to keep us in. It was flawless, but there had to be a way out. There had to be a flaw in the code. My chance came during the annual school fair. The grounds were open, the security less focused on the perimeter and more on the crowds. My plan was simple. Blend in, head for the back fence, and just run. Don't look back. I had my backpack with the journal and the yearbook page. My proof, my sanity. As I moved through the throng of students, a voice called my name. Jason. Hey, Jason. It was Mike, my best friend. Or the person I thought was my best friend. He was smiling, holding a half-eaten corn dog. Where are you going in such a hurry? He asked. I saw a flicker in his eyes, something not quite right. A glitch. I mumbled something about getting a drink and kept moving. My heart was pounding against my ribs. The fence was just ahead. I could see the woods beyond it. Freedom. I broke into a sprint. People turned to look. I didn't care. I vaulted the chain-link fence, landing hard on the other side. I scrambled to my feet and ran, pumping my arms, not daring to look back. I ran until my lungs burned, and my legs felt like lead. The sounds of the fair faded behind me, replaced by the whisper of the wind in the trees. I had made it. I was out. Or so I thought. After what felt like an eternity, I finally stopped, gasping for air. I leaned against a tree, dizzy with relief. I looked back the way I came. There was no fence, no school, just an endless expanse of forest. And then I heard it, a soft digital chime, the kind of sound a computer makes when it completes a task. I looked down at my hands. They were starting to flicker, to become transparent. My journal fell from my grasp, its pages blank. The yearbook page turned to dust. A calm, synthesized voice echoed in my head, not from any direction, but from everywhere at once. Error. Subject 98 has breached containment. Rerouting to primary matrix. Initiating memory wipe. My name is Jason Miller. At least, I think it is. Remember me.